people who are supporting, giving water, food, even to peaceful demonstrators. But unlike now, this is not the kind of the situation. It is themselves now standing with Lungus to be able to want to protect their businesses. Yet we know very well that is the role of the police, and they need to play that role actively. So it is just in terms of summarizing, to me, I think it is a strategy by the government to quell down that momentum and scare people from coming out to be able to demonstrate, because we have seen a situation where people who have been vocal coming out being targeted, some of them being abducted or being picked from their houses, and then all of a sudden you hear someone has disappeared. And I've seen you giving us the statistics of the number of people who are yet to be their whereabouts are yet to be determined. We don't know where they are, and the last scene was either within the parliament, or they were within the CBD, or they were taking part in a peaceful demonstration, exercising their democratic right. So it is about fear and trying to be able to manage the situation. Okay.
And I mean, it's interesting how things have played out from the time when we had the initial protests to date. And something that, you know, Habib has also mentioned is that the president has actually responded. You know, he's actually responded. The two significant ones are in terms of the rejection of the finance bill, and the other one being the dissolution of cabinet. As a young person, do you feel that, you know, do you feel content by the things that the president has done?
Okay, as a young person, I'd really not say I'm contented by what the president has done, because dismissing the cabinet secretaries, I think that was not enough. But they were responsible for answering, because whatever happened during the demonstrations, it happened while they were in offices. So I feel it was their responsibility to give answers to Kenyans about the people who were killed in Githurai, about the people who were abducted while demonstrating peacefully. I think the people who are supposed to answer those questions before being dismissed from by the president as the cabinet secretaries, they had so many questions to answer. Dismissing them was not enough, because that was not a solution to Kenyans.
But isn't that one of the things that, you know, the protesters, Gen Z, had been asking for, that dismiss cabinet? Remember when they were saying reshuffle, don't reshuffle, dissolve. But he did that.
Yes, he dissolved the cabinet, which I'm not against. But then my point is, before the cabinet was dissolved, the cabinet was still answerable to things that happened, because by innocent people being killed, or by young Kenyans being killed, that was not the solution. Dissolving the cabinet was not the only solution, but being answerable to the citizens, being answerable to Kenyans, that was the whole thing. Then they be dissolved after we have those answers, and that would be an assurance that the next people who would come in those seats would actually work for Kenyans.
Okay, so at least fortunately they're still in Kenya, ideally, so we believe, so they can still be held to account either way. I think that's a very good point. Margaret, for you, when you listen to what the president has done, does it give you some sense of, okay, we are on the right track?
Yes, we are, as young people. As young people, we are on the right track. But then the government, I feel like the president has been, there is a need to push him, for him to be accountable to his people who voted for him. For example, like me, I went very early and I voted for him. And I was 20 years old. And I went there because I saw the future. I saw him as a promising person. But then, looking at even his cabinet, for example, the one that he has already dissolved, before they actually entered into that office, the parliament had asked so many questions about some of the cabinet secretaries, but then he still chose. He still chose to place them in office. So basically for me, I feel like accountability is very, very important, especially for people like IG Kome. He is not supposed to just go away. He's supposed to pay each and everything that he has done. For example, he's supposed to be called, in the cases of Mukuru, in the cases of, for example, cases of Denzel, he's supposed to be asked, where were you when these things were being done? What did you do? You see, these abductions, the government is acting like we are the ones who are abducting ourselves, you know, and they are the ones who actually, they know the people who are doing that. Why can't they do something about it? Why can't the government, the president, call each and everyone out who was responsible of anything that happens to any single Gen Z? For example, like Farah Maalim, he was supposed to, that person is not even supposed to be anywhere any close to people. He's supposed to be in jail right now because he can't say he can kill people. That is a threat, honestly. That is a threat, and it is a threat towards Gen Zs and a threat towards the future of this nation because they are young people. So basically, for me, I feel that the president, as much as he's doing so much talking, promising and everything, we need to see concrete solutions. Without him, it is enough for him. Right now, he has talked enough. We don't want him to talk anymore. We want him to act and allow us to see the power that people actually give to him.
Okay. Habib, just, I mean, there's a point that they're both raised, which is very important, that while these guys have been kicked out of office, be it the CSAs or the Inspector General of Police, that shouldn't be enough.
That is not enough. I'm not contented. Bado mapambano. The struggle still continue because one, history doesn't lie. Done. It is not my mistake. It is not the mistake of Kenyans not to trust the president because he has proven to us that it is someone that we cannot be able to trust his word because he says this and does the different. Just to give you an example, the president said that we must adhere to the rule of law. Look at what is happening. Does this constitution, it speaks about the right to demonstrate as enshrined in Article 37 of the constitution. Why are we seeing a situation where people are being shot, people are being tear gassed? I'm just receiving an information here that one of the comrade Boniface Akach, who was actually feared being shot by police, but unfortunately it's turning out that he was hit at a close range by a tear gas canister, being hospitalized. So these are the situations that we still do not want to see. We are talking about a situation where today the anger is about demanding justice. People were killed. You have given us a statistic of around 50 Kenyans who died through anti-finance bill protest. What was their biggest crime? Did it have for people to die before the government could be able to recede their decision and make decision? Did we have to reach at that point? You see, and the other thing is that the reason why we are so hesitant and a bit not willing to be able to trust the president is because we don't know next year's the cabinet secretaries, there was dissolving of cabinet and all that, but what next? Who are the people who are going again to be appointed by the president? We have seen you still left Mudavadi, who is holding unconstitutional office. We are talking about the rule of law. Which rule of law? That is unconstitutional office. That person has to go. Those are some of the demands. And whatever we are, how does it take to be able to hold a police officers who shot young people on the street accountable? We need accountability. We need to be able to see. We are talking about edible oil. We are talking about fake fertilizer. We want to see people arrested. You see, even under his administration, we have seen a case of the KEMSA scandal too. Yeah, so these are the issues that we are talking about because we don't have to dialogue for you to be able to now, Dan, let us have a dialogue and see how we'll be able to stop stealing from the public, how we'll be able to accountable to the people. And then, but we see Kiburi is still there. So he says this because right now, there is the levy, maintenance levy from 18 to 25. Yes. We have seen conflict of interest, the proposed conflict of interest bill 2023, which allow the politician to do business and to be able to even to do. So there is so much. On the other hand, you're saying this. On the other hand, you're doing something that is different and making us as Kenyans to be able to even trust the president. You have seen people being abducted. jana ilikuwa Westgate. Today we have just seen someone narrowly escape from being abducted on a day, bro, on a broad daylight. So these are the things that we are asking actually. Which rule of law are you talking about?
Okay.
So these are some of the things that are actually make us to continue pushing more, because these people, it can be a strategy just to be able to contain Kenyans the way now you are seeing also with the protest, people fear coming out and all that. And then we go back to the status quo, the way things used to be. And then it becomes now a target. Because why are you targeting someone for coming out?
So actually on that point, so when do we stop? When does it stop? That's I think one of the questions that, you know, needs some sort of an answer, because we are seeing, so after today we'll probably see a call for another set of demos maybe on Tuesday again or on Thursday, whichever day.
Yeah.
At what point does it stop? Because I mean, no one is taking away from anybody that, you know, there's a fight for a better Kenya. But we're however seeing the disruption that it has. So one of the questions that's coming is, when does this stop? So
Dan, one I want to ask you, are you sure that we are outside the hook of bad leadership and bad cabinet secretaries? Are you still sure of that? Because we don't know what next will happen. Are we out of the hook of the finance bill? Because there's a lot of legal crises around it that still surround that finance bill, you see. So these are some of the questions that we are asking. We want to see today, I want to be told that the police officers who are responsible for the death of around 50 Kenyans, and the number is still rising, are being held accountable. What does it take to be able just to kusimamisha mtu kazi, so that we can be able to see action? We want to see these cases immediately. You develop an inquiry. Can we be able to start having things? We don't want to have so much talks, action. The things that doesn't take us so much, because I'm still wondering why it was very hard for the speaker, the National Assembly Speaker Wetangula, to be able to call parliament. But when now then with the deploying KDF, it was just it was hurriedly made. So these are some of the questions that we are also asking ourselves. Are there goodwill? Are these people really honest? We want the president to be honest.
Okay.
Let's have a honest conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
Sasa unakuja kwa table lakini hapa chini umeniwekea kisu and all that. So these are some of the things that still lingers in our head, and it is very difficult to be able to trust.
Okay, and I mean, I'll encourage that even as you have the conversation, if you feel you've got a point that you also want to raise on the same question, you'll just alert me so that it's a full conversation. It's not an interrogation. It's easy at DCM, siogope. So even as we come to pick up on some of the issues,
economic crisis that is now in our country, that's the reason why someone has still gone out to demonstrate, whereas they have seen that some few weeks ago there are people who died in those demonstrations. We've buried several youths who are demonstrating. For example, Akina Rex Masai. And those are people who came out to demonstrate because of the current situation of the country. But you see, the Gen Z still have the guts to go out and demonstrate, which means they are very much unsatisfied, which means these are educated people, these are degree holders, diploma holders who have no jobs, who have not gotten that job opportunity, people who are still struggling there out, people who feel that the economy is actually not friendly unto them. That's why they have gone out to demonstrate. So by saying they have been funded, I think they would use the funds maybe to start a business or do something good than demonstrating and taking tear gas and risking your life. Because by going out for demonstrations, you are sure you'll either come back or be killed or be abducted. Anything can happen to you. So why would you go and risk whereas you have money? And we are actually demonstrating because of the economic crisis. We are demonstrating because the economy is too harsh for the young people. So why would you go out to demonstrate if you have money? I think that is an example of bad leadership that I personally didn't expect when you are voting for a president. Yeah.
So let me come to Margaret. just on the same thread of conversation, when the president says that, so some of the things that are being argued from those who are standing with the government, with the government side of it, are arguing that there are few people who have been paid to then push this agenda. Then you, as the young people, the Gen Zs or the millennials or anyone who's supporting, are getting, should I say, high on that paid for agenda. So it means that you may not realize that you're actually being used. That is what is being argued.
Okay, but then I think the government is a little bit ignorant, because for me, from the time I was 19, I used to go to trainings about my political rights, about I love my country from when I was way younger. So I used to be told that it is your political right to go and ask for government, to vote, one, that's the reason why I voted when I was 20, two, to practice your political right and constitutional rights. So for me, even when I went there, I went because I had something to advocate for. I had something that was pressuring me. Me as Margaret Njeri, I have an initiative, right? I have seen many girls not going to school, not going back to school because they do not have money to go back to school. I've seen their parents coming to me telling me, Maggie, if you get something, please plug us because we need this money. I've seen my grandmother struggling each and every day because of the economic crisis in the country. I have seen so many girls not going to school because of sanitary pads. I've seen so many teenage mothers not going, being forced to choose between school and taking care of their children because they cannot even afford diapers to actually leave their children to maybe family members, maybe anything else. So for me, when I was agitating for my rights, I was going there because I was funded by the disappointment of this country. I was funded by being disappointed by the president each and every day. I was funded by seeing several injustices to my peers. I was funded to seeing so many students not going to school or delaying their exams because of lateness of help to the universities. I was funded by the crisis that is in the country. And honestly, the government, okay, maybe he may say that it is funded by Ford, right? He may say that. But then for me, and so many young people, I believe they are not funded. I believe it's because of their heart, and where it pinch harder, or they actually feel the pain and the pinch of this crisis. And honestly, president should not and should stop putting blame to other people, because he was the only person, he was the one who was going in the campaign trail telling us, giving us so much hopes. And honestly, let me tell you, Dan, even if you actually trying to date a girl and you give her maybe so much expectations, of course they will be disappointed when you're not delivering, and they will be so mad at you. So basically, he shouldn't cover that up. He should do what he's supposed to do as a president. Stop talking. You know, in the Twitter space, I've remembered, in the Twitter space, I logged in, and I saw him he started justifying himself on what he has done, what he will do, and I tweeted and I said, tell the president to listen to us. This is not the time to justify himself. Let him stop justifying himself. We have had enough. We want actions, and he shouldn't put blames to any other person. And I was blocked, by the way, in that Twitter space.
You were rejected.
Yeah, I was rejected. So basically what I'm saying is the president should actually look at the root cause. Yes, okay, he's saying we are being funded, right? But then if I have that time, I used to see people saying, leo kona fair. uko na so ya kwenda tao, people would give you that 100 bob because young people are there to support each other. They want to see change in this country. So basically we are funding ourselves, and if it was that Ford Foundation, I saw them putting so many millions there and saying that I wish I had that money because I wouldn't have come here honestly, because if I was funded I wouldn't be feeling that pinch.
Okay.
You know.
Habib.
Which camera do I look to? I want this message to go directly to the president and inform him who actually is funding us. Yes.
So I can see that on the screen right now we have scenes of what's happening in Karatina, but we can hear, you'll see, look in this screen, if they're able to take a split screen, they'll be able to pick it from that camera, because I mean, you're quite passionate. We're still trying to make sure that we are balancing with the actual protests. I mean, the protests happening on the ground. That's Karatina, the county of Nyeri. So I believe we'll counter check on, excuse me, whether we can have the split screen so that we can Habib can make his point. He says he wants
I want to inform him and inform other Kenyans who are actually wondering who actually is funding these demonstrations. And dear Mr. President, I just want to inform you.
Sorry, I think we just did get a split of Habib speaking. We could still have the action ongoing. Yeah, he wants to speak to the president through NTV.
Yes.
So I think yes, now we are good to go. You are there.
Yes, definitely. I want to speak to Mr. President. Dear President, do not look other or blame anyone who is funding the ongoing demonstration. The person actually who is funding the ongoing protest is you yourself. It is the so many lies that you told Kenyans. It is the so many unbroken promises that Kenyans were given. These demonstrations are being funded by failed leadership, corrupt leaders who do not listen to Kenyans, but continue looting and vomiting on us. These demonstrations are being funded by inhuman forceful eviction and demolition of houses in Mukuru, in Kariobangi, in Madare, in Kayole. These demonstrations are being funded by the brutality, the injustices that are being met on young people of this country. If you are not aware, it is a crime to be a young person in this country, because just by being a young person, chances of you being killed by police are high. We faced this today. I think Kenyans are wondering. We have seen situations. There's so many cases of enforced disappearance. There's so many cases of police brutality and killings. On each and every day, we handle cases of police abuse of power. So the reality is, Kenyans are angry, and the finance bill was just a trigger. The real issues, we have a lot of underlying issues, because, to be sincere, if I can remember, if my memory serves me well, the president started promising us when he was still the deputy president in 2012. We will create more job opportunities for young people. We will build stadiums. You see all those things. We will change the lives of the people. And again, after 10 years, now he is the president. He went along and said how will be able to create job opportunities for young people.